I do love me some Marvel Champions, but let's not talk about Marvel Champions. Let's talk about more Unlimited. Why don't we kick off our Chaos of War segment where we're going to go over statistics, the meta, kind of what happened at GenCon. All right, welcome back to our Chaos of War segment. Here we're going to be talking about GenCon statistics. We're going to talk about some lists. We're going to talk about day 1, 2, and 3. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Some people got lucky and got to play all days. I'm telling you right now, my wife's birthday is on Sunday next year. So as soon as GenCon tickets get released, I'm buying my GenCon tickets for that weekend. And I'm going to GenCon, and I'm leaving Saturday night to hang out with my wife on Sunday. So I'm getting GenCon tickets for next year. So
I thought you were going with the complete opposite thing of like, yep, it's going to be GenCon. I'm just going to tell her to just shove it on Sunday.
No. I'll be no. I'm not going to do that. No, because I think GenCon is a possibility. It could be Worlds, and I don't think it's going to be. There's a possibility that they could hold Worlds at GenCon. The amount of money they're bringing in, there's like always this possibility. I don't know what they're doing, but I know I'm getting the GenCon tickets and then finding out what Worlds is. And I might, like, if for some reason GenCon, like they aren't going to do something at GenCon like that, and Worlds is like the month before and I have to travel twice, I might actually just go to the Worlds and then just like reduce my GenCon ticket and actually just go for like a day or two. So with that being said, why don't we cover a little bit of statistics? So these are some of the numbers that were provided. We took give a shout out to, I think his name is Cody, and I'm so horrible with last names, so I apologize in advance. I think it's Kresserman is how you say his last name, and or Cressman, maybe it's Cressman, but Cody put together, like, had people submit lists and different things. Somebody else took some of the statistics off of the websites and like kind of coded them into a spreadsheet. So I took some information, put it all together, and said, hey, let's look at some numbers. So I have two different things. We have total points, which essentially points are the one win. So you got 1 point per win. So overall, as a whole, we're looking at kind of the leader and the base that they played. There's a couple of question marks that were in there, and I didn't feel like doing enough research to take those out. So for now, they're just kind of in there. It was very hard, like, finding some of this information because there's not a good spot, FFG, to have all of this information related to. Contact us. We know how to help you with that. And anyway, so long story short is that we have some information. So I set it up by two different things. I essentially, if you made the top 25, it looked at it and said, okay, hey, in the top 25, this list was that. And if you take the average placement value, this is where it is at. So for example, Boba Yellow had 14 placings over the course of 3 days and the top 25. And if you took an average of all their placings, they came out in an average of 13th place. So obviously, for example, Kira ECL only had 3, and they came in on average at 9th place. Again, the other thing, the other side of the graph is the points. So Boba Yellow had 75 points of wins. And overall, as total percentages, they had almost 18% of the total wins were just Boba Yellow. So there's a lot of people, because there's a couple of people that from K2D that have been pushing the Boba Yellow very hardcore, right? That's been their deck. They're the one that created it. Bobby Sapphire ran that deck, and so like people were like, oh, Bobby Sapphire didn't do well, so therefore Boba Yellow's dead. Well, that's not true. Like, that's just like a very untrue statement. Sometimes you run into bad matchups. Sometimes people have new cards teched and you just aren't quite ready for some of the play fields. And so I just want to make sure we understand Boba Yellow is not gone. It just might not be the same menace to Green Sabine that it used to be. And I think that's the discussion point that we can have in a little bit. So as you look through it, Boba Yellow and Sabine ECL took almost so that's 18 and 16. What is that? I don't know what is that together. 18 and 16 is 34. 34% of the top 25 wins were Boba and Sabine. That's crazy, right? That's a lot. 34% of the meta is Boba Yellow and Sabine ECL specifically. I don't know if people are playing Sabine without ECL or not, but
That'd be kind of weird if they were playing like ECL or not ECL Sabine. Just
Yeah, I mean,
like, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the other part of it too is just it kind of shows the effectiveness of aggressive play, right? These aggressive decks can get into the game fast. They can build up really fast and push in a lot of damage fast into your deck. And some of these leaders kind of lean towards to building up a little bit more in order for you to be effective down the road. And especially with Sabine, you're able to just get into your opponent's space really quick or completely wipe off your opponent's board as you need to prevent them from building up like really, really fast. So it just shows that that particular archetype is number one, is cheap. The cards are readily available, easier to find, and it's still an effective strategy overall.
Yeah. And if you look at Sabine Yellow, that was the other popular Sabine. Sabine Yellow showed us that there is 5 and 16, 21. There's almost 22% of the field was just Sabine. So if you thought Sabine was going to go away, she's not. Like she's going to be very prominent this set, and I think that's like if you're talking about how do we beat it, how do you go through it, what can you do? Sabine to be able like that's the deck in my opinion. Like that deck and the Boba Yellow deck are the two decks you have to be able to beat to have a viable deck. Your decks have to play into those if you want to compete in some of these higher level tournaments because you're going to see them. Not everybody's going to run them. Han Blue or Han 2 Blue, I guess is they're calling it Han 2 Blue. That's crazy. Han 2 Blue's up there as well. Their average ranking was 14th place. They had 6 top 25 appearances, and they scored 7.5% of the meta.
That's typically Wookiees, right?
I'm not sure if
no.
it's like Wookiees. I think it's just Blue
Not
has
at
a lot
all.
of high health stuff, and like cheating out a turn
So it's more like
Luke is disgusting.
More like grit, right? Like grit units.
No. You'll
Oh,
see the decks. They're force decks, JJ.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're not Wookiee decks. They're not what you and I have been playing. How about that?
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, and the chat makes a good point. You know, that's the other thing. Is control decks do play. You have 55-minute time limits. I'll be honest with you, even as a control player, I've only gone to time like 2 or 3 times in tournaments that I played in. But as a normal control player, I mean, we saw it on stream. The one day they had streams, there's a gentleman named George who was running a Hondo Blue deck, which congrats on Hondo Blue. I'm very excited by that. I love Han. I love that Hondo Blue made top in one of the days. And if you think about it, Hondo Blue, there was a time where basically that game 3 went to time and they both got losses. And that player went 5-2 that day because of that. And that's the sad thing is like, I think like in that specific day, he had a higher chance of winning. He had a very bad, one of the games was very bad. The second game was almost all in his favor if you watch it. And then being able to not finish off that third game just is sad. Hondo Blue taking home 2 days worth of 5 wins each at almost like 2.5% of the field is hilarious. That's just funny. So we only had a Palpatine green showing, a Palpatine yellow, and a Palpatine red showing for one day, it looks like. So in each of the different days, they took home 6 and 5 wins. Boba Green not showing up in the top as much. Kira Green showing up at the top. Kira Red, there you go. Kira Red showing up at the top. One of those was somebody that we know from X-Wing named Crispy. Congrats, Crispy, on your 5-2 submarine run there. Getting up there. But yeah, Crispy loves the submarine runs, but he ran a Kira red deck and yeah, so like Kira's not only viable in green, it seems. Kira is viable also in red. Anything else from these numbers or these statistics that you wanted to kind of talk about, or do you want to move on to the individual days?
For me, it's kind of a minor stat, but Krennic Green coming in is also pretty nice to see. Amongst some of the better decks that are in there. I do like to see leaders that we don't hear from much, but Krennic Green definitely is a deck that I definitely want to try out. So.
Maybe you guys don't have Krennic green players around you.
Yeah, we
Oh,
had
I
plenty of them around me. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I like Krennic a lot.
Krennic was very big in set 1 for us. So I didn't play him. I didn't like Krennic. I don't like Krennic's playability personally. Well, if I want to play a control, I'll just play Pulp, right? All right. Anything else? Or Alex, sorry, I skipped you. Did you have anything else
you're
notable in here?
No, let's get on to the next stuff. Let's get on to the individual decks.
So, all right, so we're gonna go Thursday first. So here is your lineup for Thursday. As you can see, there's some of the question marks in here. People are welcome to tell us who they are. We could fix this. But essentially, Han 1 yellow. The guy that's been running Han yellow came to GenCon, went 7-0 day 1. People like, I think that deck has to be considered like a serious deck, right? Like we have to actually say that that's a decently serious deck at this point. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it wasn't bad in set 1, and it only got significantly better now. So,
and then you can see there's your Krennic JJ going in there, coming in 6-1. We got some Boba yellow, Sabine yellow, 2 Sabine yellows. One of those, Steve Cozenart, that's a local of mine, or used to be a local of mine. He decided to move away. His wife got a new job, so he moved away. Han blues in there. Got some Tarkin yellow. And then we see some Kira, some more Sabine, like, and there's our Palp green player right there, Scott Egan. We move on to I guess here is the first place deck for the winner of Gen Con. I'm just going to deviate to Alex. Alex, is there anything new in here outside of, I don't remember him having one to change a heart in there? Is there anything else that's really new in here?
well, this is cartel turncoats and jetpacks, and only one syndicate lackey. But like it's pretty similar to the Han yellows. You got double hotshot, double cartel turncoat, double Leia, double spark. So I guess you're a little bit less on the spark, but the other one's on the sideboard. Triple L3, which is kind of interesting. Just one jetpack, hopefully for Han, probably not though. Triple Spy Strike, triple Ezra, triple 3-cost Falcon, triple Bodhi, triple Waylay, which is interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense, Waylay over like spare the target, right? You're banking on maybe your opponent's not playing bounty cards in order to bounce your own units back to your hand, because spare the target can't bounce it to your own hand. It's only enemy units. So that's probably the choice for Waylay over spare the target. You got like triple DJ, triple tack, triple cunning, triple Gamorrean guards, double Kira, triple Cantina bouncer, just one syndicate lackey, one change of heart, double of the 6-cost Falcon, and triple Han. You got a double Tobias Beckett in the sideboard, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, because you can't really smuggle it, right? Without paying.
Right, you're not
7.
smuggling it. So it's interesting that like they're going more for more control with the exhaust. Probably also why they have a little bit more non-units that you than a typical mono yellow.
Yeah. And there also looks like they're not, those turncoats are new. Those were not in there, I don't think, the first time. I don't remember those being in there. Maybe they were.
Some decks have them, some don't. It really kind of depends on how much you value space presence.
Yeah, I feel it's really valuable for this type of a deck. I also like that there's 2 Leias, thank God. And I wonder if the L337 is just kind of like the I could bring a unit in and it comes in shielded, so it's hard to take this specific unit down, so I can swing twice with it. And if I get a surprise strike the next turn, it's not like a horrible play to be able to swing into base for 5. And
it's like a technically better crafty smuggler.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a bonus if they happen to have like capture things.
Yeah. Which is not, we didn't see any Jabba show up at the top, right? So, and I don't think any of the other one we didn't see, I don't know, Bosk, was Bosk not up there? Bosk was in there. I know Bosk took some stuff. But
yeah, they
anyway.
have Green Bosk, UCL Bosk at 10 points. So
there you go. Okay. I think I skipped over that because that was another kind of a little bit of a surprise. I don't feel it's a surprise. I thought Bosk was, I think when we did our rankings, we rated Bosk like on that borderline. for a not. I like this list. I notice they're not obviously worried too much about control, like hard control decks.
Yep.
So this
I'll
list
say,
goes.
like,
I don't care.
Palpatine usually does very well against this deck, regardless of the Bodies and the Sparkle Rebellions and the DJs and whatnot. Or at least mine does. I'm not sure if you've had other experiences against like a mono yellow Han, if like DJs have messed you up or tech or something.
DJs can if they get it, if they could smuggle it out early enough to kill my flip churn. That's the only time I've ever had an issue with it. But usually I don't worry too much about it because I just could kill a DJ. If I'm at 7 resources anyway, at 6 resources, I can still kill a DJ. So
or more accurately, just kill the tech too, so he doesn't bring it out at 5, right? Like,
yeah,
exactly.
no tech, no problem.
Yes, I haven't had an issue with that. I have usually I have the bigger issue if they get like a train where they can hit a spark, a Bodhi, and then a cunning. But if I'm playing against this, a lot of the times I'm using less events, so I'm not as worried about the Bodhi. Like I won't hold on to things. I'm like, if I'm playing this and I see it, I'm not going to hold on to something Bodhi's just going to get rid of. Like I resource it. I just do it. It is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a resupply, it's whatever, right? You might as well just put it down as a resource.
Yep, you just put it down now. You just say I'm not worried about the ramp, and I prioritize units over the other thing.
Yeah.
And usually once somebody sparks my hand and say I have one event or something like that, I just resource that event the hand. Like that's the auto resource for it.
Oh man, I was playing earlier today against like a green red Vader, and then he Viper Pro droid me, and then immediately conceded. And he was just like, oh, it was like 8 resources, and I have like Vader unit, Relentless, and Devastator, plus a couple other things like Enterprising Lackeys and Salacious, and he's just like, yeah, you got this game.
All right, we're gonna move on to the yellow boba that came in third. Well, this one is definitely so we're gonna go through this deck because this one is definitely different than the yellow boba that you've been seeing, but it's not super different, right? So there's a few differences in here. This is definitely different than the one Bobby Sapphire posted, so that's kind of partially why I want to go through this. I do not like the 3 Forlom and only 1 Zuckuss Call. I do not like that. I don't know why. I would go.
It's sideboarded, but yeah, I get it. Yeah.
No one wants to run more than 50 cards because they're cowards.
Like they just run 2 and 2 and put both of them in the sideboard, right? Like that's just me, I guess. I understand why you want the ambush. That's what this deck. It wants that stupid ambush. Therefore, that's why they got the Forlom in there. But so this one is 3 Greedos, 2 Shoot First, 2 of the Hot Shot Blasters, 3 No Good to Me Deads, 3 of the Crafties, 2 Probe Droids, 2 New Adventure, 2 Surprise Strike, which that one's a little befuddling to me, but I can understand, I guess, why. Then you have 3 of the Mercenary Gunships, and in this deck it works out very well because you can bounce and tap things. You have 3 Boba Fett's, 3 of the 7th Fleet Defenders, 2 Waylay. Then you have 2 Relentless Pursuits, which I think I like it because it's spicy. Just because I don't think you're doing it to just specifically capture a unit, but that's what this deck likes to do, is just slow you down.
Shield on Boba.
Yep. Which is great because then you have the shielded Boba and you have something you captured. I don't know. It's hilarious.
Triple L3 that you have in your deck rescues the captured unit that they Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah, that's fair. Which is fine. Well, then they don't get their shield. Anyway, 3 Toros, 3 Cunning, 3 Forloms, 2 Bosk, 3 Cantinas, 1 Zuckuss, and 3 of the Fire Sprays. And the sideboard is the Cartel Spacer, 2 Boba Fett Armors, 3 Bodhi, 2 of the Zuckuss. And I'm okay with the 3 Bodhis going sideboard. If you're not playing a heavy control, like against Sabine, I don't know. You don't need
to appreciate disrespect 9-card sideboard. Because I do.
Yeah, I don't like
that third Waylay or that third Boss or the third Surprise Strike.
I bet you it's just a mistake. That's probably my assumption is what that is.
Well, I'm assuming probably you'd just do a third Waylay.
Yes. I would put a third Waylay in there.
Or Surprise Strike.
Or a third New Adventure. New Adventure can be very good with your Fire Spray. if it were me, to be spicy, I would put a final showdown in there. But that's just me. That would be my spicy take. Is I would put a final showdown in my sideboard because if I could
Endless
figure
Legions. Play it for 18.
No, not going to do that. So, like I said, this is a little bit different take. This is more of a little bit pushing that bounty hunter build. I like the mercenary gunship, especially in this build. You got the waylays to pull it back. You got cunnings to tap it, cunnings to return things, and it goes back to your hand. So if they steal it, waste their 4 resources, you can play cunning, get it back, and then do something else that's dirty. I mean, this is a tricky deck to say the least. The next one we have, I don't know. Do we need to go through this? This looks identical.
Triple Dark Raid Tarkin deck with 3 Vaders.
Yep. All the only difference is, it's got 3 Vaders in it, and it's got
double Veers and triple Tarkin.
2 sneak attacks, right? Like it's focusing a little heavier on keeping your units on the board. The Veers is a very good pull for the Vader. Vader loves to pull that Lurking TIE Phantom or that Veers out. He loves that. So yeah, I don't think this there's nothing super fancy about this deck that we haven't gone over. We have a how-to video if you want to watch. I did a deck tech on this because this is actually one of my favorite budget ones. Vader obviously is not in the budget one, but yeah. So all right, that was all the list that we had access to for day 1. Day 2, Friday, we had Kira. This is Woo. If you don't know who Woo's channel is, go check out Woo's channel. They do some awesome stuff on their channel. He does like a million deck techs. I don't even know how, he just must do deck techs every night and then just wait to drop them. Like he has a million deck techs available. But here you have again. Here's your Krennic green. JJ
Kira.
Coming in again.
Kira green.
No, yeah, you have Kira green and then Krennic green. But he was super excited about his Krennic green. Here you have a second showing of Krennic green. Is it the same guy? I wonder if it's the same guy.
Possibly.
Nope, different guy.
Yep.
Yellow Han still hitting the top up there. Bobby Cosplay, the Boba Yellow hitting up there. A second Krennic green. Another Sabine ECL. Here's your yellow Palpatine, and that guy had his list private, so I could not look at it. I really wanted to go through that list tonight, but we could not. And then here's our buddy George with Hondo Blue, baby. Hondo Blue. I'm going to be very excited to go through that deck here in a few minutes. We had a showing of Kylo Yellow. I'm happy to finally see Kylo make the table somewhere. There's Andrew Cox coming in 13, if you know him from X-Wing. More Boba Yellow, another Boba showing, a Boba Green. There's our Bosk ECL. That was fun to watch. Kira Red, Boba Yellow, and then we had one showing of a Cad Yellow and one showing of a Vader Green. So who wants to go over the Kira Green?
I'll do the Kira Green.
Go ahead.
It's up to you, JJ. If you're
real
gung-ho about it.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So I've actually played against a couple similar ones of this. But for this Kira deck, you got triple of the High Loon Enforcers. Those are the grit 1/4 for ones with the bounty. You got triple Inferno 4, triple Pike Sentinel, triple Power of the Dark Side, double Make an Opening, triple Resupply, triple Death Troopers. Which is, pretty nice finisher for Kiras. Like I feel like you don't play them too early. You just want to, when you release Kira, just drop them. You got double the Client, triple Super Laser Tech, double the Black Sun Kiraxes, double Vigilance, only one takedown, double Lam Pike, which is hilarious in a Kira deck, by the way, double Fell the Dragon, double Gideon, triple Overwhelming Barrage, triple Vader, one Maul, one Super Laser Blast, double Snoke, double Avenger, one Relentless, and one Devastator. Because you just run all the Star Destroyers, I guess.
The reason behind it your end game just becomes has a little bit more depth. That's all.
Yeah. No, I can respect it. I just run more Relentless. You probably don't need the Devastator, honestly, when you have an Avenger and Relentless and Snoke, but
yeah,
I love these Devastators. In the side, he's got triple top target for more healing, the third copy of Vigilance, one Rook, presumably to ECL out against a Crate Dragon.
Yeah.
Double Palpatine's Return, a second Super Laser Blast, a second Relentless, and a second Devastator.
Yeah, so this is kind of similar-ish to the one I'm running. I actually only run 2 Vaders so that I can have Maul, because I like Maul better. I don't care. I don't care what people say. I think Maul's my favorite. And then I am also only running 1 Super Laser Blast because in this deck, for the most part, you don't want a Super Laser Blast. It's like a in case shit happens type thing.
Wouldn't that make more sense just to put them in the sideboard then, if it's just like an in case thing?
Yeah, yes, but it comes in handy in the main deck once in a while. So how about this? I have used it 1 every 4 games. So, and usually it's against like another control deck that's like a higher in mid range, early, like not like a soft control type thing. So those 2 it really helps with. But the making openings are in there because those stupid Tarkin decks. That's why those are the Black One Suns. Like that's what they're there for. Like really, I don't think we need make an opening or the Black Sun Starfighter. I actually don't like this Black Sun, and I actually run 3 of the Starfighters, the 3 yeah, Starvipers, because you can ECL those out. Like here's a tip: you play a Sabine that puts an A-wing down round 1, and you got one of those in your hand. You just claim, and you don't put anything else down, and you just ECL it out and take out their A-wing, and you've killed 2 Sabine churns
And heal 2.
And heal 2 if they they haven't done any damage because it's only round 1.
Well, like a Sabine.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. So if they Sabine, then you get the other.
Yeah, because they're going to Sabine if you immediately claim initiative, right? There's no reason for them not to.
Sure, fair enough. Then you can heal your 1 damage back. That's fair. Yep.
Got him.
I feel that my sideboard has 2 rooks in it for the specific fact of what you said, like ECLing that out into Crate Dragons or I don't know, sometimes even Pose.
Velvet Dragon, so like I'm not sure how many you have in your deck, but that like also
0
takes care of the dragon. Well, that'd be why.
I have them in my sideboard. I have a couple in my sideboard.
It's interesting that they don't have a Rivals Fall. I mean, your 6 slot is just Vigilance, right? So I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they at least have like 2 or something in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Just in case they go up against. I mean, I guess Kira usually is pretty good about taking out all the leaders, so you might not need it.
Yeah.
But it's more of like I messed up and this thing's way out of control. Oh god, here's the Rivals Ball kind of thing.
Yeah, and I run 2 of those instead of the Fell Dragons. That's what I run. That's the difference in like mine is I like the Rivals Fall over the Fell the Dragon.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
And I like more Maul.
Have you played against Kira Green with Mono Palpatine?
Yes, and it does not usually go well for Kira. So
I'm gonna say, have you ever felt any sort of resistance to Kira? Because I have not. It's more just like, I just roll them. That's not even close. Thanks for self-damaging your guy so I can steal it with Palpatine.
Yeah, no. Like, the only thing that I've ever found that ever like has given me any sort of an issue is usually Snoke. But if you are silly and I could just put a damage on Snoke and I steal Snoke, you regret that immediately as a Kira player. So
100% lose.
You can't give me your Snoke. Like that's like an immediate, like you cannot give that to me.
Or the Avenger.
Or the Avenger, yeah. Though the Avenger, I'll just drop a Devastator with Green Pelt. By the time they're playing Adventure, I could just drop Devastator. I don't even care about the Avenger. I just drop a Devastator and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You want to spend another 9 to bring another Avenger out? Like go ahead. I guess like that's 2 turns in a row. But no, I think in a control world, Palpatine does better at that than
rolls this deck.
Yeah, but Palpatine struggles more to aggro, and this does not struggle to aggro in the same way Palpatine does, though. Right. So, all right, let's move on to our other one, our Bobby Cole. I don't know how to say his last name. Bobby Cole. There you go. I did not create this deck. Bobby created this deck. I just put it in a deck format because he just had it listed out. JJ, you want to go over it real quick? It's almost identical to the other one. Actually, is it identical to the other one?
It is almost identical. It's got 2 more Zuckuses.
Yeah.
And they took out the TIE Phantoms.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. Yep.
Okay, so we don't really need to go over it.
Surprise strike.
Yeah, they have a third surprise strike and reduce their shoot first, and have one more of the blasters.
And no Bazines inside.
I don't understand why nobody's running Bazine. Bazine's so good in these decks, but that's fine. So I guess we don't probably have to go over it. They have one extra waylay, and their change of heart is in their sideboard.
Yeah, I mean, there's like certain sideboard changes. They have doubles luck if they reduced a Boba Fett unit. It's essentially the same thing. It's close enough. They don't have the Relentless Pursuit. They only have one inside. They don't have the Boba Fett armors inside, but whatever. Tanner, I know you want to do this Hondo deck, though.
I do. I'll give it to JJ if he wants it. If not, I'm doing the Hondo deck.
I'm gonna do the Hondo deck definitely because I like this one a lot. So, so we got a Pirate's Life for Me by George the Hulk here. So he's coming in with 2 copies of Top Target, 3 copies of Covert Stratagem, which is
Strength.
really good.
Strength.
Yeah, sorry. Timely Intervention, got 3 copies of it. Got 3 copies of Inferno 4, 3 copies of Pike Sentinel, really cheap Sentinel unit for 2 costs there. We got 2 collectors Starfighter, Starhopper. Sorry,
the only thing you'll ever use them for is in this particular kind of deck.
Exactly. We got 2 copies of Ruthless Assassin, 3 Power of the Dark Sides, 2 Making Openings, 3 The Clients, 3 copies of Lieutenant Chilton, 2 copies of Vigilance, 2 copies of Takedown, 3 copies of Lon Pike, 2 copies of Overwhelming Barrage, 2 Super Commando squads, got 2 Vigilant Pursuit Crafts, 1 First Light, 3 copies of Maul, which is really good, 1 Super Laser Blast, and to top it off, 2 copies of Supreme Leader Snoke. Then in the sideboard, we have an extra copy of Vigilance, 2 Felder Dragons, an additional copy of Overwhelming Barrage, 2 Rivals Falls, and then another 2 copies of Super Laser Blast, and then finally 2 copies of Avenger in the sideboard there. Definitely quite a lot of easy, cheap units to help you delay the game later on, and then you can just finish off the game with Snoke and Maul to come in there to just completely wipe the board there, especially with Overwhelming Barrages in play. You got enough high attack units there that can help you wipe the board and then deal pretty good amount of damage out to your leaders there. In this deck, you're not really going too much for you're not really going too much with aggro with this. You're just controlling and just delaying as much as you can. If you're able to get those bounties on from the client and from Top Target, you can really buff your units pretty well to outlast your opponent. So yeah, definitely a really good decent deck for for Hondo here.
If you go back and watch, so people don't know what Hondo does. And the reason why I know we gave this guy a D, and I told you that I'm waiting for somebody to make this deck good, right? And originally I argued that this deck belongs in blue, and I have a version of this in green, and it's not as good as this. I'll tell you that right now. This deck is super insane because Hondo is just like Boba. It's just an automatic trigger. You're not doing a whole action for it. So he's not a delayed thing. And Hondo himself, right, is a 3/7. So he's got 7 freaking health when he comes out.
And he's got raid 1.
And he's got raid 1. Yep. And if he stays out, if you do not kill Hondo when Hondo comes out, Hondo just gives all sorts of crazy stuff. I watched George pull 2 things out of his smuggle while Hondo was out. You want to talk about like a crazy churn? Like, oh, here you go. Merry Christmas, right? And it's not that unit that you smuggle out that has to get the experience token. So you could choose. I actually would argue with him that he should put more First Lights in here, but that's a different conversation.
I would at least put 1 more in there. And I also have like a Hondo blue deck because I was just messing around with it, and it has 2 First Lights and stuff.
So
fine. I don't have the Ruthless Assassin, but I understand why he does. He's got the timely interventions that he could swing in for 4 with them. Yeah, if he smuggles it and gives an experience with a Hondo.
Yes, it is dirty, and he does the damage to himself. I watched him do it, and he gave like the token to another unit because he didn't need it, and he just swung in, put the 2 damage on himself, killed the other unit, and the guy was like, well, were you gonna do the 2 damage? So he's like, I did it to this unit. And he was like, oh, it's hilarious. You go back to the stream and watch it. Like it's funny. It's good. I never thought of that either, to be honest with you. That's a good
I don't
call.
like it. I don't think it's great. I understand why he does it. I just wouldn't put that in there.
Yeah. The timelies were used a lot with the lawn pikes. That was a thing. Sometimes the Chilsons was a really good one. I literally watched them put Chilsons down. And if you waylay a Chilson, you can't waylay a Chilson. That's just the death of it.
Why?
So, well, because you waylay it, if you can't kill them, they're putting it back down. Sometimes the same churn, sometimes not.
Okay. I mean, I spent 3 to remove a Sentinel from the board.
I got.
Like,
that could
I
be
don't
possibly
see like
very
it's a
rough.
bad play.
So question:
they don't have the resources to put them down,
if
they already use some of the cards.
Question on interaction, just because I personally haven't used it as of yet in that manner. So if you smuggle a timely intervention, does the card that you play get the effect from Hondo, or does the card that you actually play have to be a smuggle? Like you have to actually smuggle.
No, it works as a smuggle card.
Yeah, whenever Hondo smuggles, he gives out an experience. So if you smuggle timely intervention, you can trigger Hondo to put that experience on whatever you want, and then trigger the ambush for timely intervention.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So essentially,
really
what Hondo's doing is it's telling you to pay your extra fee for whatever the smuggle cost is, and somebody gets a free resource or a free experience token. That's what that's saying.
Yeah,
and it's not specific to anything, like, so it doesn't have to go. It's not like a Ray where you have to have it on a 3 or less. Like, in my opinion, this Ray's easier to play, but Hondo has like a higher threshold than Ray does. With the experience tokens you can grant out are just insane.
I mean, you have to pay extra for it, so if you're behind, you're losing tempo. Like, if you get out ahead of a Hondo deck, he's relying on his Childson and like the super commandos to like kind of back it up, like to stop it.
Yep. Timely intervention, Lawn Pikes is like, it's not as good as like a Rook in this one, and I would wonder if maybe a Rook would be a good sideboard card as well. I don't know. So I love this deck though. I am excited. I almost bought a Hondo Showcase this weekend for $150. My son told me
it's going to go up like crazy.
Yeah, my son said, stop doing that. Stop buying. You have no reason to buy a Showcase, Chris. I was like, so we're not going to go over this deck. I'm just putting these in here to kind of highlight. So we had a Kylo Jeddah City deck that made 11th place. I think this is a really cool deck. Maybe next week we'll come back and kind of look at it. I want to make sure we get to day 3 here. I like this deck a lot, but this is a very Kichi deck, and like you either live or you die by this deck. Like, it just.
Well, I mean, that's like all Kylo decks.
Yeah, like
your opponent hit 6 resources, I lose this game now.
Yep. So I like it. Congratulations to whoever played it, and did it. Here is the Boba Green deck. Again, we're not going to cover this. This will come back up in a few minutes.
Late game.
Yeah, this is
deck, which is cool.
This is that transition that we're seeing where it says, hey, let's not play early meta stuff as much as let's control and then swing in. This guy named his Papa Vader. So I think great Vader Green is slept on a little bit. They put the Salacious Crumbs. I was a little. I didn't understand 100% why those are in there, but I guess it's just kind of adds to your turn 1 drops. This timely intervention is super good.
It's huge. I mean, you also heal from it, which is really nice because you don't generally get that until you hit the reinforcement walkers. So
true.
And you're just pinging out an extra damage, which also will trigger Vader. Like, it's a really easy 1-drop to trigger Vader, and especially because you could like play it. Like, you pop them back up and then play it again, so you're always kind of have, as long as Salacious Crumbs on the board, you always have a Vader trigger.
Yeah. Other than that, this is essentially kind of similar to the Vader we saw before. Crate Dragon's a new addition, obviously. I think if you get to that churn, I mean, like they have Crate Dragon and Devastator. I don't know if you get to that churn, I think they've won the game. So
yeah, exactly.
The one notable side, he has that veteran in there that takes people. I think that's kind of hilarious, and I think that's funny. That it could just steal a ground unit, so you could throw that in there. It could steal a ground unit before Vader even comes out.
I don't really get the legions, the Emperor's legions in the side.
I don't either. That's a question we'd have to ask.
If it's like Kira, they overall barrage and blow up your entire board, you get it back. I don't quite understand their logic of putting that in there.
Yeah, I don't know what that's there for unless you need it to retrieve something that you lost. I don't know. I don't either. So I was a little confused why that was in the sideboard too, but I don't know. All right, moving on to Saturday. Bobby Colgrove, Boba Yellow, took it down 7-0. There you go, 6-1 and then 7-0. More yellow Boba. That Boba Green deck coming back here. This is where we get our first taste of somebody giving me a Han Blue deck that we can actually look at. Mike Gem, the Hyperloops guy, switched into Kira Green. There you go. So left the Boba Yellow and ran to Kira Green for the third day, which is, it's funny because Matty Gem, his brother, was also running Kira Green. So we have some more Han Yellows. We got an Iden showing. That's kind of cool. Another Tarkin Yellow showing.
Look at number 14.
Yep, number 14 is Chris Allen, which is hilarious because it's a Han Blue, and he in his thing. By the way, we put it in there. He credits Woo because Woo. So a couple of weeks ago, when they released or were trying to get people to release the Han Blue list from the Baltimore thing, and the guy was like, "No, I'm going to save this till GenCon," and didn't want to release it. Woo went and made one. Like he went and made a Han Blue. He's like, "Fine, I'm just going to go make one for people. Then I don't know what you played, but I'm going to make one." And Chris Allen took Woo's list. I'm pretty sure it's almost identical to what Woo's list was, and he took that and ran with it. So. Yeah, shout out to Chris Allen. He was the guy that did all the judging for X-Wing since I remember, at almost all the major events that I went to. So, and it was funny. He did judge. Just so you know, he did judge X-Wing this weekend. He did judge X-Wing, or he did X-Wing this weekend. He judged it and then came and played on Saturday. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
We also have somebody named Elliot Lusk with a Palpatine Red. There is a possibility we might have a person or two joining the show to talk Palpatine Red in a week or two. So just as an FYI, we may have just a whole show dedicated to Palpatine Red.
Lowest rated episode ever.
I don't know, man. Look at it. It's 5-2. Come on, baby. You and I had some good success with it. So we don't need to go over this deck because we just saw this deck. But here's the Boba Yellow deck. It's literally the exact same thing. He did not make a change between the 2 days for it. Second place is another yellow Boba deck, which looks like the first yellow Boba deck, except for this one has the Ruthless Assassin in it, and this one has 3 copies of Bazine, which is the correct amount of Bazines you need in a
and
deck.
3 Relentless Pursuit and double Boba's armor. So it's actually like it plays a lot different.
Yeah.
And a copy of the Bounty Hunter crew to get back in an event. Probably your Cunning or possibly a Waylay, No Good to Be Dead. This is much more like
a Boba armor.
Yeah. Well, the Boba armor's on an event, so you can't take it back up. But it's got the Bounty Guild initiative in there, and that's interesting. It's a bounty hunter deck, and not necessarily like an underworld Boba kind of thing. It's just straight up bounty hunters, which is really cool.
Well, to some extent, just so you know why that's in there. Like part of the reason is if you pair that, because Greedo's a bounty hunter, right? Mm-hmm. So you can turn one, play a Greedo, let them play whatever they want, and then you can play a bounty hunter guild initiative and kill or put 2 damage on whatever they have. Like just so you know, like that it's dirty. Like I've actually seen. This is funny. I saw it took 3 of their cards, but they had a Greedo, a hotshot, and a bounty hunter initiative. They played it, killed something with their bounty hunter drop, re-ready their resource with Boba, and then play that stupid hotshot blaster on their bounty hunter. and so then it became a 3-2 for turn 2. It was disgusting.
That is disgusting. Jeez.
No cards in hand for the most part, right? But it was a hilarious turn 1 play. So
you know, it's just double bounty and guild initiative too, right? Like I've had that happen to me in pre-release, and I'm just like, oh, that's kind of frustrating. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, when I ran my Twin Suns deck, and we should do more Twin Suns stuff. I really like Twin Suns. Actually, I've decided. But I had Bosk and Jabba, and one of the games I had a Dengar and a bounty, the bounty initiative, right? And so you could just play both of them turn 1 as well and kill something. It pisses people off. So here is the Boba Green deck that came with it. So I don't know, Alex, you want to go through this deck real quick? This one we probably should actually go through because it made top 3. So
yeah, so it's another kind of late game Boba deck here. You got the 30 health. It's not ECL. You have triple Salacious Crumb, triple Hotshot Blaster, double McClunky, triple Cartel Spacer, double Crafty Smuggler, triple Bazine, triple Boba Fett's Armor, 1 Jetpack, triple Resupply, triple Boba Fett, triple 7th Fleet Defender, triple Waylay, triple Super Laser Attack, 1 Rook, which you're not ambushing out at all. Triple Overwhelming Barrage, triple Bosk, triple Fire Spray, triple Vader, triple Maul, and 1 Reinforcement Walker. In the side, you have double Yularen, double No Good to Be Dead, 1 Palpatine's Return, 2 more Reinforcement Walkers, and double Devastator.
This is my Boba Green deck here. This is what I would play.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It's a ramp Boba that just has actual endgame cards, which is like a major problem with Boba Fett decks. By and large, they don't really have a great end game. So if you actually manage to get to the end game, usually you're pretty solid. This one, not so much. And a fair amount of ambush too, just between like the boss, the Vaders, the Mauls, and the double Hotshot Blasters.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting solid deck. I like this deck. This is my flavor of what I would.
Boba Fett's armor is a pain.
Yeah, I hate it.
Through.
I hated it when we played Twin Suns. I hated it. Somebody drew one in our pre-release event, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is such a pain in the butt to get through."
I had to go against Green Boba with a Boba Fett armor and a jetpack in my pre-release.
No, did you win?
Yeah, I just played Rivals Fall. Yeah, I just killed it.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Easy, done.
All right, so here we have Frank Sinatra's. This is Solid or Soul Doc. I don't know what his real name is. Frank. I know he's been around quite a bit. This is his Han Blue deck. He's got 3 Force Throws, 2 R2D2s, 3 A-Wings, 3 Sabines, 3 Carabas, which I love. It's only for this deck, baby. Like somebody created a card for set 2 because like I don't know why you would run. I tried Carabas so many times and it just doesn't work as well as it does in this deck. 3 Yodas, 2 Open Fire, 3 Cassians, 2 Techies, 3 Kanans, 1 Takedown, 3 K2s, 1 Fell the Dragon, 2 Pillage, 2 Poe, 2 Obies, 1 Rivals Fall, 3 Lukes, 2 Maces. Like this is the first we're seeing like Mace show up again. 2 Redemptions, 2 Chewies, and 2 Crate Dragons. So this is like I want to come to the end game here as fast as I can get to the end game without somehow ramping. So this has 2 making openings in the sideboard, 1 more Open Fire, 2 of the Sibylline Fang Fighters, 1 of the Takedowns, 1 more Fell the Dragon, 2 of the Forced Surrender, I'm assuming for control decks, just to give you the middle finger so I can get rid of your cards.
Oh, yeah, I mean, between like triple K2, double Poe, double Pillage, and double Forced Surrender, you should probably be able to take out most of their hand. And a Force Throw. You got triple Force Throw, so
yeah.
Hopefully, at that point, you can at least knock them down to 1 or 2 cards. If not, if they have anything at all.
Yeah. And then 1 Fell the Dragon. This is an interesting one. There's another one that we're going to talk about in a few minutes here. I like this version. This is kind of like, I don't know if I like the very low event suite because I'm not quite sure if is their I'm assuming their goal is to hit that pillage churn and have enough units on the board to continue to push damage and then just pillage them so they can't play anything. You just say you're not going to play anything this churn, and then it sets them back a whole churn, which then puts Han to be able to come out the next churn and have more units, and then just I don't know. That's my assumption. I could be wrong though. Chewbacca seems crazy in this deck, but so does Mace. I guess I don't know. Like I guess Mace comes out as a 5/5 with 6 resources, so that's okay if they have a lot of small units. But that's
yeah,
it.
I mean, you would prefer Luke, but Mace isn't too bad because he can at least probably kill something and still swing in that turn.
Yeah.
The Chewbacca's also really nice because he's a takedown body, and you grit him up, and you could also smuggle him because you're running red.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yep. I have a blue Han that's like kind of similar. I don't have like the Carabasts, and that's more like my style. But yeah, it's try to play quality units turn earlier, and hopefully they can't respond, and then try to discard their hand. There's a lot of like red blue hero discard out there.
Yeah, and this is really good for your buddy Tech here. Tech.
Yeah.
They said Mace is in there because of all the yellow mono blue. Oh, mono boba. Okay, or mono yellow. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Comes in at 5 HP. Yep. Can clean up a ground. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I actually don't disagree with the Mace, and like it would be nice to actually be able to put Mace on the table because I have I don't know like 50 Maces it seems. So
Yeah, and honestly, on the sideboard, having the Disabling Fang Fighter, that is a card that I have in all my red decks, mainly because the ability to remove an opponent's upgrade and still have that space unit that can go in and attack on the end is really, really good. I mean, you could be taking out experiences, you could be taking out like Boba Fett's armors or Dark Sabers. It's such a handy utility card to have on the side in case your opponent ends up getting that early on. So.
all right. We got Rebel Resource. He told us what he was bringing in advance. So Ryan told everybody he was bringing Sabine Yellow. He has a whole video. If you haven't seen his video, go check it out. JJ, you want to go through this? This is the first time we've seen Yellow Sabine do decent. Not that she can't do it. It's just this is the first time that it's kind of shown up. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got 1 copy of Spec Force Soldier, 1 Heroic Sacrifice, 1 Chopper, 3 R2D2s, 1 Heroic Resolves, 3 Cartel Turncoats, 3 Green Squadron A-Wings, 3 Sabine Wrens, 2 Leia Organas, 2 Bamboozles, 2 Alliance X-Wings, 3 Surprise Strikes, 3 Red 3s, 3 For a Cause I Believe In, 3 Millennium Falcons, 3 Fleet Lieutenants, 3 Wing Leaders, 2 Cassian Andors, 3 K2SOs, 2 Ozatucks, 2 Valiant Assault Ships, and lastly, 1 Millennium Falcon, the Lando's Millennium Falcon one there. And then for the sideboard here, we have 2 copies of Shoot First, 2 Lothal Sergeants, 2 Sparks of the Rebellion, 1 Sneak Attack, 1 Spare the Target, and lastly 2 Chewbacca's for this one here. It's actually really good. I actually like the mix of the different cards on here, being able to get in a good amount of Rebel units so that way you can buff with like your Wing Leaders and then also send them in with Fleet Lieutenants is really good in a Sabine deck. Having that For a Cause I Believe In too is so good for this particular one, and Spark of Rebellion to mess with your opponent's hand early on. Really great. I like this deck a lot, actually.
I'd be surprised that JJ loves the deck with 5 1-offs.
Yeah, why not, man? I love it, man. That's the one thing is like in your hand, right? The cards that you can easily put in there, but you have that one card that you want to play at a specific time. I mean, why not? I mean, I'm a big fan of having 1-offs. Honestly, that's the way I like to build. So yeah.
So I have a question. Do you just like wager with your opponent that says, "Hey, I bet my For a Cause is always going to hit for 4 damage"? Like every time, and I guess unless you bring in the surprise strike or the sneak attacks, every card is a rebel card. Like, do you just be like, $5 says I hit 4 damage,
and I hope they just hit all 3 of their surprise strikes in a row, and they only do 1.
Well, they aren't in the. Yeah, okay, fine. That's not going to happen, but
hilarious.
It would be hilarious. But outside of that, like that's like there's not a lot in there, and like I don't know. I'm happy this Alliance X-Wing is getting less love. I hate that stupid freaking ship. I hate that ship so much. I refuse to run it. Period. I don't run it. This is a little bit more space heavy too, by the way, like compared to some of the other yellow Sabines we've seen.
Well, like that's kind of what's always been good about Sabine is that they run a lot of space units, and a lot of people aren't prepared for a lot of space units.
Yeah, those Ozatucks, so good. I love that Ozatuck.
Well, it's nice too with the Valiant assault ships, right? Because you probably have less resources than your opponent because you don't need a resource that high, so you end up getting extra attack out of it.
Yep. I like it. I like this. I actually like this list quite a bit. This is something I would run, but minus some of these one-offs that I would not run. I would not do that.
JJ is going to run that deck for sure.
I would at least have 2 of those other Millennial Falcons if I.
No legendaries, he's good. Well, just the Millennium Falcons themselves.
Yeah. All right. This is the Green Sabine. We haven't covered a Green Sabine yet, have we?
No.
Alex, you want to run through this real quick? I think this is
Saber Sabine deck, which is pretty cool. It's got double Medal Ceremony, double Rebel Assault, 1 Spec Force, 1 Heroic Sacrifice, triple Timely Intervention, double Daring Raid, triple Battlefield Marine, triple A-Wing, triple Sabine, triple X-Wing, double Ketsu, triple Red 3, double for a cause I believe in. Interesting that it's not 3. Triple Fleet Lieutenant, triple Wing Leader, triple Cassian, triple K2SO, triple Darksaber, triple Poe, and double Wrecker.
And this is the JJ-ish deck too with the stupid.
It's solid.
Less so, but
decks are kind of crazy. If you don't deal with it immediately, they kind of spiral out of control, and you have ECL and triple Timely Intervention for your Poes and your Wreckers, your K2s, and possibly even a Katsu if need be, or the Fleet Lieutenants. Yeah. You get a bunch of good stuff. I'm actually a little bit surprised they're still running Medal Ceremony. I thought that kind of fell out of favor. But
yeah,
other than that, it's really good. I mean, you got a lot of attacks, right? You can Medal Ceremony whatever you ambushed in. So I get it.
Yeah, I think it's still relevant, unfortunately. I you know what one I think should not be in there? I hate Wing Leaders, but people like their Wing Leader too. I hate that ship as well, but
I mean, he makes the bean a 4/7. Slap on the Darksaber. Ooh. And then Rivals Fall. Easy. Done. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but I'd say by the time they're able to do both of those with Sabine, I have my Rivals Fall out or a Fell the Dragon at that point. You know,
well, you can't Fell Dragon leaders.
Oh, that's right. You can't. Ugh,
yeah, just Rivals.
But it's a solid deck. I like this kind of style. There's I would say local, but it's like out in Howell, so that's not really local to me. They're running more of a Mandalorian Sabine green with like the Housecast soldiers and the Sundari Peacekeepers and stuff with like Darksabers, and that seemed really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a different twist. I don't know if we see that. We have one more Sabine coming up. So here's that Han deck again. We're not going to go through this one. I don't see very much different. They do have these Rebel, I don't know what they're called, Rebel something or others, the Saboteur with Raid on them. I think that's the big difference in this one is that.
It's got Grogu in the side too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We saw that with another one. This is also Rebel focus. You got the triple Wing Leader, which works well with like the rogue operatives, and Bodhi is also a rebel.
Yeah.
In addition to being Imperial, so it's cool that you can like kind of pump them up in a yellow Han deck.
Yeah, especially with that Fleet Lieutenant. So you Bodhi, get rid of their removal. Say you better take them down. Fleet Lieutenant next turn.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that this deck concentrates on a lot of low cost ships there, but would you guys ever consider running like U-wing reinforcements as a sideboard?
In the yellow? Mono Han? No, that costs 9.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, so but it's
green Han 100%. I'll max out at 3 of them. Yellow Han not so much.
Okay.
This one's a little weird. There's only two Han units in here. I don't like that.
It's a very early game focus. This is much more aggro than it is like mid range.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the next Han Blue one. This is a little bit different of a deck. This is like a little bit more of a space focused deck, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It does have the same end suite, and I don't know. This is like
is
these
closer to
weird.
what I would run.
This is more weird one-off type things. We got one Rivals Fallen, one Fell the Dragon, and one Wrecker. And I like Wrecker. I think Wrecker's really good. But then it's got one Fang Fighter in here too.
The disabling Fang.
Yeah. Is there a second Fang Fighter that I don't know
it's got
about?
the Concord Dawn Interceptors. It's got 2 of those.
But they're not Fang. They don't call them Fang Fighters, so I don't want to.
Okay, bad.
They're not Fang Fighters. They're not.
They're Fangs to me, damn it.
They're Interceptors, not Fang Fighters. So I don't know. I guess I don't know. Is this deck worth going through? It is a little bit different. It's not focused on the pillage aspect. The discard your cards.
Run through it real quick if you want.
That's fine. It is a little bit different. This one's a little bit more unique, and this is more up my alley as well, play style wise.
You got triple Force Throw, double Arc, triple A-Wing, triple Sabine, triple Yoda, double Open Fire. A lot of people aren't running Open Fires anymore. Double Concord Dawn Interceptors, triple Cassian, 1 disabling Fang Fighter, double Tech, triple Kanan, double Takedown, triple K2SO, 1 Fell the Dragon, triple Poe, triple Obi, 1 Rivals Fall, 1 Wrecker, triple Luke, double Redemption, double Chewie, and double Crate Dragon. In the side, you got double Confiscate, another Tech, 2 Vigilance, which is wild to me. 1 more Takedown, 1 more Fell the Dragon, and then triple Pillage. So if they're going against Heart Control, you can actually just start doing all the discard shenanigans. I like Pillage more in the side than I do main decking for Blue Hans.
Yeah, it's definitely something you just bring in just based on your opponent's leader that you see, and then you can just decide to add it in later on. Yeah, I totally agree. It's much better as a sideboard piece than just the main deck.
So here's another green Sabine. This one's a little bit more normal.
It's still a Darksaber.
It's still a Darksaber build. This one has 3 Wreckers in it, though. So
straight to jail. No one-offs. Sorry. No.
No, that's why. That's why it's better. It's only got 2 timelies though. So, and I guess I've been actually running 2 instead of 3 lately when I have to cut cards down. In ECL decks, in ECL decks, I'm running less timelies.
Yeah. Which, I understand like not having to run 3 timely if you have an ECL. It's just really nice when you have Poes and Wreckers and K2s.
Yeah. And logically, your timely should be in your whatchamacallit, in your resource pile anyway. So I don't know. I like this one too. We're not gonna go. I'm not gonna go through this list either. But it's very similar. You could kind of come back to this if you want.
Super rare sighting of Rebel Pathfinder though. Double Rebel Pathfinder.
That's like throwback to season 1, baby.
Heck yeah.
Early season 1.
Yeah. So here is Chris Allen's list. This is the last one that we have.
Gotta go over it. It's Chris Allen.
Yeah. So JJ, we're gonna give JJ the honors. JJ, what's the last list, baby?
So we got a blue
hold on. Should we not give you the honors because there's no one-offs in here?
There's one one-off.
Oh, okay,
yes, there's a one-off. Yeah, I was gonna say, dude. So we got 3 copies of Force Throw, 3 Green Squadron A-Wings, 3 Sabine Wrens, 3 Yodas, 3 Open Fires, 2 Concord Dawn Interceptors, 3 Cassian Andors, 2 Kanan Jarruses, 2 copies of The Force Is With Me, 3 K2SOs, 1 Fell the Dragon, 3 Pillages, 3 Rays, 3 Poe Damerons, 3 Obi-Wan Kenobis, 3 Wreckers, 3 Luke Skywalkers, 2 Redemptions, and 2 Crate Dragons. And then in the sideboard here, we got 2 the heck is
Make an opening.
Make an opening. Thank you. 3 copies of Tech, 2 copies of Vigilance, 2 Takedowns, and 1 Fell the Dragon to round off the list there. I definitely like the sideboards a lot. That gives you just the flexibility to add in some of those immediate kill cards in case your game drags out longer, and they have some of the bigger Star Destroyer cards that can really mess up your side of the board that you're trying to control there. That it really helps just temper the other side with those quick kill cards on there. Overall, this is a really solid list, a really solid Force list on top of that too. Just having those Force units available to really take advantage of like Force Throw.
So this is almost exactly my blue Han list, I don't have triple pillage main deck. I more have just I also don't have Fell the Dragon. I have like double Rivals Fall, double Takedown, and the double forces with me is actually just 2 arcs because some form of healing in there other than Yoda is actually really disgusting.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
like
a
this list
solid
as
deck.
well. Yeah, this I like this. I like it the fact that we have Ray all of a sudden in here too. Ray is very good in a Han deck. We'll just put it that way. So
She can do some work. I mean, you're not really using it. You don't get shields out of it unless you give it to a Great Dragon,
yeah,
which is kind of funny. But it's just mostly the 2 damage you're healing and just keeping things around longer is huge.
yeah, like being able to take it off Obi sometimes. Like
Mhm.
you put Ray out next turn. I'm putting an Obi out. You better go ahead, attack Obi. I'm just gonna heal and then let you attack Obi again. So Merry
Oh,
Christmas.
by the way, this is also a turn early, so I bring it out Han.
Yep. It's very dirty. Ray being a 4/7 that comes out on 4 for Han is so good, actually. Again, it's exciting. I finally have 3 Rays, so I can actually run this deck. This is the deck. This is what I want to try to get my nephew to run. Where you have a Han Blue Wookiee deck that we've been playing around with, but this is what I really think he should be running. So, all right, we're not.
Chewbacca is a little bit rough, but it is kind of win more.
It's what this is. Yeah. We're not going to go through the statistics. As you can see, the Keith, I believe his name is Keith. Kyle. His name is Kyle. Kyle, thank you, Kyle, for putting these together. This is kind of the meta breakdown. It'll tell you the number of players. It's going to tell you how many times each one hit top 8. So it's a little bit more concise. Whereas we were looking at anything up to top 25. But as you can see, Boba Yellow and Sabine Green are still on the top. So I don't know. That's what you should be looking out for when you go to your next tournaments. So, is there anything else that you guys found surprising about GenCon at all? Anything else that like comes to mind that you're like, oh my gosh, hey, look at this. There's something that's crazy, that stands out to you.
No, I mean it's interesting because it's like the first like huge tournament to see what kind of shapes up. People are still on their Bobas and their Sabines. They've had a lot of practice. They're incredible leaders. It's nice kind of seeing some other random decks, and it's nice to see like different colors of the same leaders. I always find that really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and honestly, when you take a look at the set 2 cards, they really serve to enhance a lot of the set 1 leaders that are currently in existence. I mean, you still see Boba and Sabine being in the top is because they got new toys, but better toys that they can use to really be effective, and that's why they're still on top right now. It's still pretty early, and some of these newer leaders do have great abilities that will just take time for people to find the right combination and the right matchups in order for them to come out on top. It's exciting to see some newer faces come up in these major tournaments in terms of leaders. So,
yeah. And I think the big thing is now that we've had the big meta breakdown. So for me, like the big thing is understanding here's where the meta is kind of shaking out. I think Boss Green was kind of a surprise. I think Boss Green you can kind of tech a little bit against, and it's not going to be something that is always going to be prevalent. But at the same token, it plays very well into some of these aggro type decks, and so we have that aspect of it. Obviously, Han 1 Yellow coming out strong again is with a very good showing again, makes it a lot better. And I think what has to happen is if you're going to a planetary qualifier, you're going to see Sabines Greens and Boba Yellows. So the idea is what can you create that competes with some of these decks that also makes you viable against the rest of the meta? And I think that's where we want to go, right? Like that's where, as a community, that's where you want to see, is because to me this feels pretty healthy for the most part. This early meta seems pretty healthy. I will say it's still a little sad seeing Sabine Green and Boba Yellow, but you got to have some staples, right? It's okay. Like we can't have a complete meta shakeup where they never exist. I think you're going to start seeing Vaders show back up. I think that's what's going to happen. Is some Vaders were being gatekeeped a little bit by some of the control decks, and now that control decks are slowly, at least not by allies, everywhere else. Yet. Yeah, they're not there. So I think we're going to see Vader Green start cropping up in the next month, maybe even 2 months if we can't get some control decks coming out. And I think that's the idea is if your deck can beat Boba Green, or I'm sorry, Boba Yellow and Sabine Green, you're now into that caveat of what else can it be? Does it play well with the rest of the meta? And that's the exciting part. Is my prediction personally is that we're going to see more of the Kira Green and more Luke Green. I think we're going to see a resurgence of Luke. I think we're going to see a resurgence of Vader. I think Luke still gets better, especially into some of this aggro ambush meta, than we're giving Luke credit for. But we'll see.